Right, another day in the workshop. Just pottering around again, but today I'm going to have a go at a lidded box. I'm not going to take too long because there's a few things going on, I think, over lunchtime-ish, but just getting some more turning under my belt while I've got some vacation time. Just got a bit of brown oak, little bit of brown oak on the lathe. It's from an old timber framer's store, and basically just going to get my angles right first. Oh, I had all that set up until we had a little knock on the helmet. Okay, so I think we're about ready to go. So let's get the show on the road, so to speak. Again, I'm just doing this for my own benefit, something to watch back, but at the same time giving an opportunity for people to join in on a live chat, if they're available. If not, all good. I'm just going to get this up to around about 700 just to start. Just want to start roughing it down, check that everything's tight. Everything seems to be tight. Just checking that I've got everything done. I've just taken the corners off this spindle. Hi Doug, how you doing? Nice morning. Out in the workshop on a vacation day for me again. I've had a couple of weeks off, and so you don't have to worry, this kind of pop-up isn't going to happen all the time. But I've got a bit of brown oak on here. I'm going to try and turn a lidded box. I've only ever turned one before, which is this one, which is kind of sweet little box. It's probably going to end up the same. I'm going to try and practice a little bit. And I'm just kind of refining my setup, really. I've done a few lessons now, a couple with Chris Parker, or certainly I've had one with Chris Parker. There'll be another one coming up soon, hopefully, and as an aid to my learning. So got a bowl gouge here, and I'm just gonna work my way down this. This brown oak is very dry. Hi Auntie Helen. It's an I got it off a timber framer, so it's very, very dry as an offcut, but it seems like a reasonable source to reclaim a bit of wood. We'll give it a few more revs now, and we'll get in about 800. Just going to lower the rest a little bit. Maybe move it in a touch. What's the weather like in North Wales, Helen? You let me know if the audio's okay. I don't think you'll be able to hear me while I'm cutting, will you? Oh dear. Well, the sun's out here, it's very nice. So until a week ago, when I had a lesson with Chris Parker, I'd have used a spindle gouge for this activity. The old spindle gouge would have really struggled with this, I think, and it would have been, it would have come down, but it wouldn't have given such a nice smooth finish on the top. Chris put me onto the bowl gouge as a method of roughing down large spindles for use as pots, for hollowing out, or for boxes like this. This was a piece about 4-inch square by 5 or 6, and this old 1/2-inch bowl gouge, he showed me how to move the Robert Sorby grinding jig to match his grind, which has a longer edge across here. So if you can see the Sorby, you may well have one of these, but if you don't, it's on the Tormex the same. The proper line as per Sorby is with the groove matched all the way across, and Chris's groove, after we measured it, is I line up the Sorby groove with the 2 black lines, and that gives me a much longer profile on my fingernail, and that's used for these boxes. I used it also for this piece, which is part of my homework, but it allowed me to refine the base down and shape the top in a very, very smooth manner, and it's given me a really, really nice finish. There's been no sanding on this whatsoever, so happy with that. But yeah, so within one lesson I've now started to custom grind a couple of my tools, which is something I never really expected to be doing as quickly. But I'm just going to take this down so I get rid of the flats. That's the edge there. Found the edge again. We found it again. So, very good. So now I'm just going to work a tenon onto both ends. Now I'm just thinking, have I got enough here to use my new shark jaws? Yes, I do. Luckily for me, right on top of my tool rest, with a long pencil, 60mm. 60mm is exactly what I need for these new jaws. Now they're very deep. In fact, there's about 1.5 inches there depth, which I don't need for this, but they're extremely secure. So I think I'll use those for this project, to the base, and I'll make it a 50mm spigot for the lid. Right, let's just take that edge down. What part of the world are you in, Doug? Ah, of course you are. Of course you are. So, I don't know whether you've seen that monkey puzzle. I'm just going to stop for a second. Of course you are. So, this bowl, this Doug is from Alistair, right? Well, the bowl isn't. The wood came from Alistair, the contact that Steve Jeremiah shared with us. He's a very interesting chap. I popped down there the other day, got 2 pieces of monkey puzzle. That's the piece that I've got to go. This is less diameter, but it's thicker than the other, and the branches are lower in the wood. So I'm hoping that as I cut down into it, I'll retain some of these features. As you can see, there's a couple of branch features here and here that are not quite showing up. That's Alistair, and this is the other piece that I turned from tiny little bit of acacia wood. It was just a log that was lying around, but yeah, turned that from that. He's an interesting chap, so I guess when you do go to visit him, I would have in mind exactly what it is you're looking for before you get there. He's got stuff all over the place. Got a lot of boards, a lot of large boards, quite a lot of brown oak, a lot of beech. He's got an amazing stash of bog oak, but I don't ask him the price. It was really, really prehistoric looking wood, not processed, just as it's come out of the ground. So yeah, I recommend you go and visit, but just be aware he's a bit of a character. He's got massive hands as he works with his hands all day. They're about twice the size of mine. He was shifting logs like you wouldn't believe the size of, to try to get to the bottom of piles to see if he could find anything that was useful. But you know, he's not a woodturner's source, so he. So Doug, my name's Adam. Just to put that straight, so that when you keep calling me Andy, but there's no problem there. I've been called Andy all my life, so but my actual name's Adam. So this piece, as it's come off a timber frame, looks pretty tight. So I'm just going to take one more One more cut down here. It's alright, Doug. We're all getting to know each other, aren't we? So Leona, Doug lives just down the road from me. In a place called Walton on the Naze, which is, what would you say, Doug, about 20-25 minutes away, I would say. Thanks, Leona. Some of us are becoming friends more quickly, it seems. So it'll be nice to meet up with you, Doug, at some point once lockdown's gone. You and Steve, at some point, maybe in our workshops, or a cup of tea, or God forbid, a beer in a beer garden somewhere in April. Might be an opportunity. But, so far, there's only a few people I've met in the wood turning community, and that's mainly through lessons or virtually online. So I'm in Brightlingsea, Doug. Just down the road, really. Well, we learnt yesterday, Leona, that our beer gardens should be opening, I think, in April, if all goes to plan with the trajectory of the virus. But we shall see, shan't we? We shall see. What have I done with that pencil? There it is, in my pocket. So luckily for me, straight off the top of the tool rest with a pencil, straight off the top of the tool rest with the old pencil is a 60mm circle. So if I want to get 50, it's a very simple guess for my sea jaws. Getting to know this lathe slowly, or quickly. The more time I spend on it, the more I learn. Where is that this year? Where's Makers Central this year? What's up with the tailstock, Doug? Was I doing something wrong? Or calling it the headstock? Birmingham. In the Midlands. Okay. So tell me, do either of you own an Ashley Isles just using the skew to put my dovetail on there. Does either of you own an Ashley Isles threading tool? Well, I do say don't follow what I'm saying. Well, that would probably be because I was on the wrong scene in OBS. Does the sound back now? I was in the wrong scene, guys. Right, so we're back now. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've got a special cam there for you. Look, that one's all Dallas or Dynasty. But that cam's all Dallas and Dynasty, that other one. So we'll work on that at some point. I don't want to get too complicated, to be honest. If this view works, and if that view works, then I think I'm in a reasonable place for a few things. Right, so let's get the measurements out. And let's see if we can't measure the top, middle and bottom of this box. So 12. So 12 2/3 is 8. So really I want to be 10, don't I? So let's make it 10. So I go 10, 2/3 of 10, 6, 50 mil there, and then we'll add another 50 mil on here. I think we're about right. Lid, base. Let's give it a go. I've read lots of books on boxes, not made many. So let's see how we end up. And I've got a couple of my own ideas for how to get these lined up. So let's just see if we can't sort the lid. Doesn't look too bad. A little bit more maybe, just for luck. Very good. Hey Doug, I'm just a hobbyist too. I just like to watch myself back again and try and understand when I make a mistake, why I made it. The biggest problem I have is I do a lesson and I spend good money on it, and the next thing you know, the lesson's over, and I've forgotten everything that I've just learnt and paid money for. So that's my biggest fear with a lot of this. So you'll just have to bear with me while I work it all out live on screen, and if anyone has anything to offer, then please offer it. 500. So the crazy thing is I've bought a special light for this job and I haven't got it out of the packet yet. Simon Hope recommended a brand called Wood Art Projects, I think it is, and they do a light for wood turners that's got a magnet on it. It's incredibly bright, and it would be quite handy at this moment in time while I'm doing this deep. While I'm parting off this deep box. There we go. So what I've got here, I don't know if you can see it, but that edge there lines up with this edge here perfectly because it's the same piece parted flat. So instead of trial and error and trying to work out with a line what the size of the line this tenon is here to fit into what will be a mortise, I can now hollow straight in using this as a guide, and that should be a perfect fit to go over that tenon. It's a neat trick. One which I was shown by in one of my only lessons with a real person in person. In fact, my only lesson with a real person in person, with Mick Hembury, and it worked a treat on my last box, so I'm going to try it again on this box. You've just got to remember that that line is a perfect fit, so just go inside it because you're going to want to sand the edge of this probably, and we might want to just add a little bit extra onto the length of the tenon on the bottom, but it's a good tip. Hey Duncan. So I'm just going to add another couple of mil onto that tenon. Just being careful not to take anything off the other side. That's it. The other method which I quite like the sound of is to give yourself, make this a cone shape on this tenon. Then hollow out your lid, smaller than it, push that onto the tenon, hold it until it burns, and the ring will be burnt onto the cone, which is the exact diameter of this, which you can then use as your tenon marker, instead of again having to use trial and error or get the calipers out and do all sorts of funky stuff. So now we get to do some hollowing, I think. So I'm just going to sort my lathe out. Apologies you can't see this, but I'm just moving the headstock away. Clear away. Now I have a new tool that I bought from eBay. I don't know if you've heard of Hunter Tools, but there's a company on eBay who do something for the Robert Sorby RSKT200, which is this tool, which you probably have got. So now I'm just going to go on the hunt, so excuse me for a second. I wasn't completely prepared for this. And a small Allen key. Let's see what one will do. Does that fit? So I'm going to take out the usual HSS hollowing tip, which is really good. So that comes out of there. I'll put that somewhere safe. And then I've got this. Now this came in the post. It was £22.50. And it looks very similar to the 6mm cutters that we all know and love from Mr. Hope. And this is the first time it's been out of its packet, so apologies for doing this live on air, but I don't know if you can see that okay. But it's another one of the dished carbides. Very similar to what comes on Simon Hope's Pro Hollower. In fact, you'd be quite hard pushed to tell the difference. In the two. Okay, so now then, what I don't understand is how I get this in here, right? Now, so the rules with this Sorby hollower are generally that this flat piece here should be on the tool rest, that way, like that, and solid, so that you can't lift it up and down, right? I think that's the rules, right? With this tool, it wants to be in this orientation, okay, which breaks the rules as applied by Sorby. But in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's put the tool into the tool rest. I'm guessing it wants to be about there, and then I shall tighten this carbide up in its new home. That's tight. It's going nowhere. So I don't know whether you've seen these, but I'm going to give that a go. Just put everything back in its rightful place so I can find it again. So there's no teaching or education here, guys. This is all me just learning and finding my way around. So I'm doing it live so I can watch it back. But if anyone else gains anything through it, then all to the good. It's to be lifted a bit. Okay, so let's give it a go. I'm going to have to move this camera out of the way on the end stock, but I promise that I will try my best to keep the picture, even though I've got a fair amount of camera settings. Okay. How's that? How's that for you? Does that work? Does that work? Right, so I'm going to get in here with a spindle gouge first. Put myself a nice hole in there. Just to kick me off. Looks good to me. Morning, Gerard. More time in the workshop. That's going to work. Give it some revs. Okay, that's enough to get started, I think. So, it's good advice. Forking owls, are you gonna remind me or tell me your real name? Otherwise I'll keep calling you FKO. So I think I might try that at a slightly different angle. Because my perspective should be, let's take it from that to straight. This is a new tool to me, guys, so just bear with. Well, once you get the angle right, still not used to this emergency stop. Keep knocking it. Well, there you go. So more practice needed, look. Something's not right with the orientation of the tool. So I'm going to have another look at that. It's taken the tip off and unscrewed it. But I purchased that a long time ago, before I had one of these. So let's go back to see what how the pros do it. So the moral of this story probably is don't cut corners. And don't try to buy cheap tools. Gerard, just send me a message, mate. I've just sent some to. I just sent some tools to Leona, and Simon's literally in the next village. So, as Doug well knows also. So, just send me what you want, as long as it's under 2 kilos. Which I don't know what this weighs. I don't know what the Pro Hollower weighs, but if you can find out if you want tools under 2 kilos, I'm trying to remember the cost, Leona. I think it was about £17.45. So just give me a shout. It's your birthday, isn't it, Gerard? Is it your birthday? Well, sorry about this, guys. I'm going to have to get the Jacob's chuck out. Otherwise I'm going to do something that I'll probably regret later. Okay. There we go. Steve, you're not wrong, mate. I put the coffee machine on as soon as I got in here, as I did yesterday, and 3 hours later I was still mucking about, and there was not one coffee had passed my lips. I've no idea how I managed to carry on turning for all that time without a coffee. Still, excuse the noise, that's the coffee machine. Okay. Let's see where we can go. I forgot to ask Simon what the ideal speed was for this tool. So what I'm gonna do, while Steve's grabbing his coffee, we're going to put my coffee on there like that, and we're going to open this. Oh. Which is John Woods of Wood Art Products. Unboxing. Ah, Steve. Now, Gerard, I've no idea whether this can come to you in Ireland, or you, Steve, or you, Leona. So, apologies if seeing all of this wonderful gadgetry that's available to us here. Oh, look at these, Leona. They seem cheap. What sort of prices are you? Let's have a look here. £15 each. Saber-tooth burrs. That seems cheap to me. As do the milliput prices, seem pretty reasonable. Anyway, but what I've bought is... Ooh, look at that. God, wow, look at those. Okay, shouldn't have opened this live on air. I've bought one of these Mark III handy lights. Very small box. Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it? I thought they were more than that, Leona. Here, woodartproducts.co.uk. So, ooh, more wires. Put those somewhere safe, like there. Oh, that's not the wire. That's the light. I just thought that was a wire. Oh, let's see. I'm not a fan, I've got to be honest, of wires around the lathe, but then someone must say, you've got to be kidding me, haven't you? Because looking at the rig at the moment, there's wires absolutely everywhere. So, but none of them are around the lathe. So let's have a sip of coffee. Aha. Yeah, Simon Hope put me onto them, and then you getting impatient, Steve? Ooh. Oh, hello. There's magnets all over this thing. So, to help with, there it is. Pretty damn light. There's a magnet on the wire here. There's a magnet here on the back of the piece, and Simon Hope recommends going under the rest on the back of here, like so. Oh, hello. I put the wire underneath. We'll clamp that on there. So let's see. How does that look? Oh, hello. I've seen the light. So Doug, I needed to stop for a coffee, so if I missed any of the chat, I'm sorry. See you later, Helen. No, I'm lucky enough to have an espresso coffee machine in my workshop. Although I keep forgetting to use it. So let's I don't think that's blown out, is it? Is that blown out? That's blown out. What about that? That's pretty good. Is that okay? So Steve, I think the tactic that I'm missing is I should line these up so that when they're at the top, the cutter's at 45 degrees. Is that does that seem like a sensible suggestion? No, I just need to find an Allen key of the right size. So let's why is it you can never find the Allen key to fit? Very good. So undo that one. Undo that one. So I'm gonna set the tip to. Unfortunately, I can't do that with this because it has a keyway by the. Oh no. Yeah, that's set. That would have been a smart idea, I think, if it wasn't already set at a perfect angle. So that's foiled. Center when laying flat like a bowl. So I think it is. I think it is. I think it is. Let's have another tactic. Just need something in my eye line as I'm an amateur. Right, let's after all that jiggery pokery, put the longer handle on. Well, if Leona was here, she'd tell me off now because she told me to put a magnet on this. She told me to put a magnet on this last night, and I didn't do it. Almost. Nearly there. Steve, half the time I'm not looking, right? So, like you'll notice, I'll take it in, all of it. If anyone's offering, I will take it. Not bad. I'm not going for a super thin walled pot, I don't think. Let's see what I've got to clean up the side. Seriously, Gerard, I've got everything. I got everything hooked up here. I do have another tool that I could we could just see in action in an open box. It's not really for open boxes like this, but Simon tells me that this really does clean up the inside, so let's see it. Let's see it in action. You can actually see one in action here. Right. Pretty good in comparison. That's Simon Hope's HSS swan-necked tool. You know what's funny, I spoke to Simon a few times, he doesn't live too far away from me, and I've said, oh, that lathe I bought, I've just I stuck a few things on Instagram, and I've started up a YouTube channel. And honestly, everyone talks about his kit, and I'm telling him, it seems for the first time, how much people talk about his gear on such a regular basis. Honestly, don't think he has a clue quite how much people are talking about it on such a regular basis. So I think that's done. What do you think? I think I've not done too bad a job, personally. So we're going to just take this off, and I'm going to do what I would tell everyone else not to do, and stick it in the winding mechanism. So we're going to put this back on, put the C-jaws on. Best thing I did was track down chucks, old chucks. These are our RP 4000 chucks, and the one that was just on's a Vicmark chuck. And I had one before. I picked these up while I was ill for the 3 weeks since Christmas. 60 quid, including C-jaws, almost brand new in box. And I got the Vicmark chuck without an adapter for 70 quid, including C-jaws. So quite chuffed with that. Right, here we go. This is where we find I've not cut the dovetail. No, looks good to me. So I'm just going to quickly hollow this out. Now, you might say, what's this? So that line that you can see around there, I cut an extra large gap in the piece, and when I parted it off, this is the piece that's been left from the parted off edge. So the outside edge here is exactly that outside edge there, and when it was together, it's an exact match to that. So I did an extra wide part, and then when I did the thin parting tool to part this piece off from this piece, I left a millimetre here so that I can hollow in just inside that or just at that and know that it's going to be exactly this edge here. Seems like a smart thing to do to me. Mick Hanbury told me that in the one face-to-face lesson that I've had at Simon Hope's for a couple of days, and I swear by it. The other method, which I'm quite liking the sound of, I'm going to have a go, is putting a cone on here and cutting this to the level, to the size that you want it, which can be slightly smaller to this, and then holding this onto here, holding the lid onto here, and then when spinning it, the cone here will have a burnt ring around it, and that burnt ring will exactly match the size of the hollow here. So I'm not into, I know they'll probably come out in a minute, but the use of calipers and guesswork and all that kind of stuff doesn't seem like a sensible option in this day and age. So let's have a go at hollowing this bad boy out, and this is jeopardy now. So I'll have to bring the tailstock up again and do some drilling. Or I could try this, and let's try that. Let's try a simple stupid option. Okay. So guys, if you're wondering why I'm online so much at the moment, I'm on holiday. So I'm on holiday, my son's in nursery Monday to Wednesday, the wife's working, Genevieve's working, and so I've got as much time in here as possible. I've just got the cameras on while I'm in the workshop, because I've realised it's just not as lonely having you guys on the other end of a chat, even if you're not talking to me. And it's kind of fun. Plus I'm getting lots of opportunity to look at things as I go back over time. There we go. Simple little tool. Pleased with that. So to be honest, I think I quite like the RS KT 200 tool, the Sorby tool, with its HSS cutter. And I'll probably not try looking too hard to find too low. So what I need to do is do I have the Allen key? Anyway, what I was looking for, guys, was this. It's a bearing sleeve collar, and you can put them onto your rest. This is a 30mm one. Put it on here, lock it tight, set your rest, and then if I'm using this small tool rest, which it seems I do most with this tool, I can just set that to the right height. Every time I take it off or put it back in, it's at the correct height, and I don't need to worry about it. £3.40 each. I know people swear by plastic pipe collars and cutting off a bit of UPVC, but for £3.40 for an industrial grade bearing collar, you should invest if you think it's something that you might benefit from. I certainly have done, I just haven't fitted it yet. Well, you're all dying to see if my maths is going to work in a minute, aren't you? Well, that's what you get for using very, very cheap timber frame timber, I'm guessing. So I think there must have been a crack in the piece or something, but it's very dry. What do you think about that? There was no catch there, it was all very nice and chilled. Yeah, interesting. Feels pretty solid other than that. Now, the true spirited of us all would want me to build a box. That way, that way. CA. Do you think CA would work, Douglas? Oh, I'm not convinced. I don't know. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just thinking. Do we think CA would work? What do you think? I'm not convinced CA is going to work there, guys. You think it would? Well, there's one way to find out. Are you going to give me... That's a strong tip too. So this is just a piece of brown oak timber frame. I've got other woods that I could easily make a top out of, which might be a more sensible thing to do. So I've got a piece of acacia. Not sure that really works. What else have I got lying around? That won't work. No, that won't work. No, I think I'm probably going to have a think about that and put another top on there, and we might call that a day. Is Keith circular wood on at 1 o'clock? Doug, I've got plenty of things. I just don't really have anything of the size of that piece of brown oak I cut this morning. I've got these, but also not quite the right shape or size. It won't work. Got a piece of cherry. Could cut a piece of cross cherry. I got a piece of lime here that I have absolutely no idea what to do with. I could use that, I suppose. Yeah, all good ideas. Make a lid out of that. That'd work. Oh dear. Well, I do have this that I glued together for my workbench legs. It's only construction pine, but it's not stressed. I don't think even that's, yeah, that could work. That could work. I think I might have to have a bit of a think, guys, and then you never know, I might pop up later this afternoon and have a think on it. I do have about that. It's almost. Well, we could try a beaded lid. It's a new type of pot. Fits quite well. It's getting silly now, right? Hey Rob. Hey Rob, did you join at the right point? Got a two-piece lid. Doug reckons I can glue it. I'm not convinced. It's bone dry brown oak. Bit of a shame because I was just coming in on the point to test out the theory, but I think I'll call it a day and move on to finding a piece of wood that I can fit on the lid in my own time without you guys having to sit and... Well, there is that. Should we try gluing it? Let's quickly try gluing it. Let's try gluing it and see what happens. Can't do any harm to try these things. I'll only do it once. Now, I'm not sure that so this is thick, not thick, high viscosity, so it should be okay. Hey Rob, I know mate, I think there's an element of wanting an instant fix for me. Old boy carpenter told me, and Rob you can tell me if it's true, not to wipe the join when you glue up, right? Don't wipe the join, because at the join you can wipe it away from the very bit that you want it to glue to. What do you think? Dr. Bob, thank you for your thoughts. Yeah. Good stuff, Rob. Hopefully it won't have to go on to continue for long homeschooling. Sounds like there's a push to get us back into schools in the UK quite soon. See you mate, there's nothing exciting going on here now, not until that dries. While that's happening, I shall replace the cutter in here. Yes, Gerard. I think we're friends. I'm not sure. When you asked me, am I on Facebook? What do you mean? It wasn't particularly good wood, Bob. It was some scrap brown oak that I'd had some luck with previously, and had successfully made a small box out of it. But this time the laws and physics decided wasn't going to be my day. replace this awesome Sorby cutter, HSS cutter. Back in its rightful home. Woe betide me for thinking about putting some other tool in there. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, guys. Right, I thought I'm going to call it a day, I think. Thanks for your time. End grain doesn't want to be glued back together. So thanks for your time, guys. I'll find a lid and I'll put some pictures up later of the rescue job. See you later. Cheers, guys.